What's up, everybody? We are back to counting down the top 10 movies of every year from 2000 to 2025. And we're going to end that up. We're going to wrap that all up with a big list, counting down my top 10 movies of that entire era. So we are up to now 2008. And this was a very fun year for movies. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time. Let's just go ahead and get right into it with my number 10. And the number 10 spot is Wally. And Wally is a very interesting Pixar movie because it does things that kids movies are afraid to do. It's quiet for a really long time. There's not that things aren't happening, but there's not a lot of hijinks and shenanigans. We spend a good chunk of time basically watching a silent movie as this robot is the only thing left on Earth until he finds another robot and he's just cleaning up trash, just going from place to place, cleaning up trash in this area. That is this robot's duties. And then this we're not even introduced to humans until the second half of the movie, and then things kind of pick up as far as pace goes and as far as hijinks and shenanigans goes. But that quieter first half of the movie really sets things up, and it is honestly the better half, and it helps the movie become a somewhat of an oddity and a classic all at the same time. So Wally gets my number 10 spot. Number 9 spot. It is an Academy Award winning movie, if I'm not mistaken. It was definitely Academy Award nominated, and that is The Hurt Locker. This is directed by Catherine Bigelow, and I feel it's important to mention that for a couple of reasons. One, if you're watching this when it comes out, you're watching it in March of 2026, and March is Women's History Month, so it's important movie for that. Um, and the other reason it's important that it is directed by a woman because this is the kind of movie that we stereotypically think men have to direct, but it is not that at all. And Catherine Bigelow has a few of those movies like that in her catalog. This one, we get Jeremy Renner. He's basically bomb squad guy, bomb expert guy in the military, and kind of a cowboy addict. He's not always known as the safest guy to work with, but he gets the job done. Anthony Mackie's also in the movie, and it's some of the finest acting that either one of them have ever done. So The Hurt Locker, very tense film. Uh, Lots of times when you're worried that somebody's going to die, and it gets my number 9 spot. At number 8, we get a change of pace. This is a much more straightforward action flick, martial arts flick, and I am talking about the original Ip Man, or the first Ip Man, starring Donnie Yen. Just wall to wall martial arts fun. Donnie Yen is amazing in this film. The fight scenes, the choreography is great thanks to Sammo Hung. I'm pretty sure it's Sammo Hung who did all the fight scenes. I'm not sure if he directed the movie or not. I'll put that up on the screen somewhere. But yeah, if you're a martial arts fan at all and you're looking for a more modern take on the genre, even though it's set years and years and years ago, this is the way to go. The Ip Man movies. It says trilogy on here because there are three films here. There is an Ip Man 4 that came out. It's just not in this set. Um, but check them all out because they're all fantastic films. And I'm hopefully maybe we got one. One other side note for a lot of people may know this, but Ip Man is the person who is credited with being Bruce Lee's first martial arts instructor. And so it's definitely historical fiction. A lot of stuff didn't take place, but nonetheless, it's a great movie. Number 7 continues the fantasy, uh, but linked to reality somewhat, and that is going to be Slumdog Millionaire. In this, this is I want to say the first time that I saw Dave Patel in a movie. I'm pretty sure it is, and he's really good. Frida Pinto, I believe, is also in this movie, and she is great as always. And we watch our main guy. He's playing How to Be a Millionaire. I don't know if a lot of you remember that game show, but this was the version that was happening in India, the Indian version, and so it's the exact same game, exact same name. It's just there's contestants from that country and broadcast in that country. And as he's answering questions, he's also reminiscing about certain things in his life, some growing up and some about his relationship. And all in all, there are some parts that it gets to be cheesy, but there are some parts that are really just heartwarming and fun and funny and maybe even disgusting. Some parts I'm talking about the outhouse part, but it is a very good watch from beginning to end. So that's why it gets all the way up to 7 for me. My number 6 movie is also funny, but in a much darker way. It is definitely a dark, dark comedy, and that is In Bruges. And this one stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. They would team up a few years later for Banshees of Inisherin, also amazing film. But anyway, In Bruges, we got to start here because this is where their on-screen chemistry, for me anyway, starts. And Colin Farrell, they're both hitmen, and they're out on a job together, and things go sideways, right? Someone is killed that should not be killed, and they have to call it in first off and let people know what happened. But they have to hole up in this town in which is they have to hole up in this hotel room in Bruges, and lots of hijinks and shenanigans take place after that. They meet a colorful cast of characters, and they're kind of going through things. Colin Farrell's character, since he did the shooting of the person who's not supposed to die, he's pretty much having an existential crisis, and Brendan Gleeson's trying to maintain a level head about things. And yeah, things of course go sideways here. If you have not seen this movie, and if you're in any Hitman movies, this is one to take a look at. The chemistry between Farrell and Gleason, as I said, is amazing. um, Peter Dinklage shows up here also in a very memorable role. I'm not going to spoil anything about what's going on with him. And if you want to save it for the holidays time, it's technically a Christmas movie. Things happening around the Christmas holiday. So check out In Bruges, and that gets my number 6. Moving on to number 5, not a comedy at all. This is very much a drama. And this movie is called Sugar. No, very generic title, and many people may not have even heard of this movie. This is a baseball movie. It is about a young man who is from the Dominican Republic, and he's a baseball phenom, and he has been plucked out of poverty, so to speak, and put into the farm system. Which, if you're not familiar with baseball, that's basically he's plucked into the minor leagues. I believe he's for my favorite team, New York Yankees. He's in that farm system, and it is about him adjusting to America and the lifestyle of a professional baseball player, and feeling homesick, and still trying to become a big time Major League Baseball player. It is not it's an underdog story, but not like, let's say, Bad News Bears or Major League, or something like that. We're not working up towards the big game with the evil team. Um, it's not like Eight Men Out or even Field of Dreams, where you get this one grand thing that everything is going towards. When Eight Men Out, it was a trial, so it's really a courtroom movie as much as it is a baseball movie. Great movie. Field of Dreams, you got this field that we built and all these historic bases. It's not that, okay? This is just really, if you were to spend uh, some time with a young man from the Dominican Republic who does not really speak English, trying to make it in America as a baseball player. This is basically what you get. And from what I've understood, what I understand from hearing other baseball players from hearing talk about it, is that they're pretty accurate, and it's one of my favorite baseball movies of all time. So if you're a fan of the sport, I would definitely check it out. And that is, again, Sugar. Very generic title, but a great movie. My number 4 movie also did some damage at the awards that year, and this is The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke. And for my money, this is Mickey Rourke's best performance. He kills it as a down on his luck wrestler who's at the end of the rope. He's basically retired, way past his prime. He's no longer the popular guy that he once was, and I guess you can equate it to him being in WWE. He's not at that level anymore. Now he's just kind of traveling around and taking local wrestling shows, trying to feed himself any way he can. He has a kind of sort of romantic relationship with a stripper played by Marissa Tomei. He has an estranged relationship with his daughter. I believe that's Maggie Gyllenhaal, and it's just it's kind of heart wrenching movie. But Mickey Rourke is just so good in this movie, and yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you kind of saw it as a take on his own life, because you know he's had some issues and some demons to deal with, just like our wrestler here. Um, so you have to kind of be in a certain mood to watch this. This is not your feel good and story, and this is another sports movie, but not a feel good story, not an underdog story by any means. Um, but definitely one that is worth your time. Absolutely. So I can't really recommend this one enough. So that's why it gets number four, of course. Number three, definitely a lot more lighthearted movie, a lot more fun movie. And this is the movie that kicked off the MCU, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is Iron Man. And eh, yeah, it established the formula that the MCU has gone on to perfect, for better or worse. um, but you can see where they were working out the kinks. But what was never a problem was Robert Downey Jr. in the lead role. He embodies everything about Tony Stark from beginning to end, and uh, it's just it's a good reason that he's become synonymous with the character. I mean, we just to give you a quick synopsis. I mean, you've probably seen Iron Man if you're watching my channel. If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing in your life. Go watch it. Basically, rich billionaire weapons designer, weapons dealer, gets kidnapped in the Middle East, and to escape, he builds a suit of armor. Then he comes back here, has a change of heart about how he's made all his money, and he basically builds a suit of armor much better than the one he did when he was stuck in the Middle East, and decides to fight crime. um, it's just so good from beginning to end. It's got a lot of humor, but it's not the overkill that some of the MCU has been movies have been known for. Of course, it's got the action, the special effects, and it's just really still, even all these years later, one of the better MCU movies, and gets my number three. At number two, we're going to step away from superheroes for just a moment, and we're going to get into some vampires, and that is Let the Right One In. This one is a Swedish vampire film, and I saw this movie and fell in love. This is one of those movies that I only heard of because I worked at Blockbuster at the time that it hit DVD at that time, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about, because we had a certain number of movies that we had to watch, or not had to watch, but they encouraged us to watch every week. And so I wanted to see what this one was about. We get a little girl who's moved into a apartment complex or apartment building, and it's the dead of winter, and we see her in the courtyard, basically outside the building, eh, in with no shoes on, no jacket, no shirt, every night, and it's snow everywhere all the time. But she is befriended by a a little boy who lives there. She's presenting about 12 years old. The little boy about the same age, and he is prone to being bullied. And so they kind of take a liking to one another, and they're meeting almost every night in this courtyard, and they form this bond and have this relationship. It's uh, it- it's not necessarily presented as romantic, but because of how young they are, and but we do get that sense that that's how he feels about her, and even how she feels about him, given certain things that happen along the course of the movie. um but they're bigger fish to fry. You know she lives with a man, and we're not sure if that's her father or what the relationship is there, and that becomes clearer as the film goes on. And yeah, it's just all the way through, it just pulls you through, and the performances are great, and just the storytelling is magnificent. There would be an American remake a year or two later, I want to say 2 years later, called Let Me In, And honestly, I think they're both really, really excellent movies. So I wouldn't be offended if you saw that one and not this one. Um, that just depends on, I guess, your tolerance for sub movies or foreign movies. But yeah, if you can handle foreign movies, definitely see Let the Right One In. That's my number two, and that brings me to my number one. Before I do announce my number one, I will say do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. Hype button. I don't even know what that is nowadays, what that or what it does, but the hype button, if you want to hit that or the hype, I don't know what do you call it. Also, stay tuned after my number one. There will be honorable mentions. So this is going to be a little video montage at the end like it always is, but let's see what my number one is. If you're paying any sort of attention to my channel over this last few years since I've had this channel, or just looking at my shirt, you might have guessed that my number one movie is The Dark Knight. Still, to me, the best superhero movie ever made, one of my favorite movies of all time, and with an amazing performance by Heath Ledger as the Joker. Christian Bale is really good as Batman. Michael Caine as Alfred. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. All of these guys were just great. And Christopher Nolan really knocked it out of the park with this one as far as I'm concerned. Again, easily my favorite superhero movie of all time. I mean, there are a couple that might be kind of close, but this is the one. And just thinking back to the experience of seeing it for the first time, seeing it in theaters, and it was one of those deals where the theater was packed to the gills because this was the opening weekend that we went to see it, and this was before the days of everybody buying and picking out their seat online, so we had to actually show up early. And I'm gonna do a movie theater memories about this. I'm not gonna go through all that right now. I will say that sitting there watching it though, it was pretty amazing, pretty tense even, going through it. And since that day, and it has been my top comic book movie of all time, and definitely my number one movie of 2008. As I said, there are some honorable mentions coming up, and they will start right after I say thank you for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Bye.